recording, and it'll be posted in case anybody asks you what did they talk about. So this meeting is for students and parents who are enrolled in a course that's going to give you high school credit, just to make sure everybody's on the same page of what that means, what the expectations are, and then what that's going to do for your high school transcript. So, some of you already have a high school student, so you're quite aware of what the high school transcript looks like, but if this is going to be your first going through that process, this is what we're talking about when we refer to the high school transcript. Now, this is not a great A+ student example of what's expected for the high school transcript, but it's just a fake, okay? But this is a good example of what it could look like without having a grade floor. Because if you don't know, now there's no longer a minimum 50, okay? So students will get what they earn, and so we're really trying to stress the importance of everybody doing the best they can in these courses. Every course that they take that's going to be high school credit bearing is going to end up on this transcript, and it's all going to get factored into that GPA that's at the bottom there. In a moment, I'm going to pull up the listing of what's called quality points, because the quality points is what's going to make up this GPA number here. And then this GPA number is what we use to figure out the class rank. So they're actually going to be starting their class rank this year as 8th graders, which is another reason why this is so important, because it's going to affect college admissions, okay? So, the quality points that I was referring to just a moment ago. So this is the South Carolina Uniform Grading Scale. We now operate on a 10-point scale. We used to operate on a 7-point scale. So now our scale actually shows that your grade point average can actually go all the way up to a 6.0. So the days of trying to get that 4.0, we're on a weighted GPA for South Carolina. So you're actually trying to get as close to that 6.0 as you can. So if a student is taking, say, Fundamentals of Computing, which is a college prep course, and they make a 100 in that course, then it is worth 5.0 for the GPA, okay? If the student is taking an honors weighted course, such as the geometry or the English 1 honors, and they get a 100, it's worth 5.5. Then, when your students start to take the dual enrollment classes, which is the point of our early college model at the high school, if they get a 100 in that college course that they're taking through Ord Georgetown, that's going to be worth 6.0, okay? And that's how everyone gets these astronomical GPAs of like 5.8 and 5.73 and all that. The more honors, AP, dual enrollment classes that you take, that is the highest your grade point average can go. We had quite a few students who, maybe didn't realize the severity and may have gotten like a, 76 or something like that. That's worth 2.6 on that CP scale. And then that makes it so hard when you get over to the high school, you got to build up from that 2.6 that you started out your high school experience with. So it's so important that we instill in the kids that from the beginning, they need to get as high as possible so that they don't spend all of freshman year trying to make up for that GPA that they started out with, okay? So I just want to make sure everybody understands this. This can actually be found right through Google. If you put in South Carolina Uniform Grading Scale, you can get right to it. It will also show you in that manual how to calculate the GPA. So if you ever think that GPA is wrong, it just doesn't look right to you, it has the formula there, and you can actually go through each of the grades on your student's transcript and put in the quality points and do the average and figure out what the GPA is. Any questions about that scale? Okay. So, like I said earlier, we do offer 3 high school credit bearing courses. Our students who are on the college prep track, who we feel like, can handle taking a high school level course, we go ahead and enroll them in fundamentals of computing because that helps them to get a computer science credit out of the way, okay? So then that way when they go over to the high school, they do not have to take a computer science. For our students who are GT track, they're going to be taking geometry honors and English 1 honors. I do have 2 of the instructors here because some people have asked me questions about fundamentals of computing. What is that? What does that mean? Ms. Holder, if you come up just to give an explanation and what your expectations are in that course.
Good evening. Fundamentals of Computing is a hands-on course. It teaches our students about how computers work and how technology is used in today's world. Students will learn through projects, teamwork, problem-solving activities, and creative challenges. Throughout the year, they will learn how computers and technology has changed over time. They'll learn how to understand how computer hardware and software are different, but they work together. They'll explore basic computer programming and web design. They will develop problem solving and computational thinking skills. They'll also practice safe, responsible, and ethical use of technology. They'll build teamwork, communication, and workplace readiness skills, and also explore careers in computer science and technology. Any questions? Just to be clear, because I know some people always say, well, why would you just throw my child into a high school course? And I didn't ask for that. Fundamentals of computing, that's going to be your beginner level computer science. So we're not expecting them to go in there and be computer engineers. Literally, if they just follow what Ms. Holder is asking of them, they can definitely, start off strong with a good grade. So I'm going to ask Ms. Ms. Wright to come up and talk about her geometry course.
So geometry honors is a middle school class that provides comprehensive study of geometric concepts and principles. Students are required to apply geometric theorems to problem-solving situations that require abstract reasoning abilities. Logical reasoning is developed through various kinds of proofs. In addition to traditional computational methods, students use graphing calculators and computer software as tools for problem solving. Students will take a final exam, which will count as 20% of their final grade. So this is a high school course, so of course the grading scale will be different. And geometry is not your basic arithmetic, plugging and chugging. You're gonna have to actually study. They're gonna have to actually study, pay attention to vocabulary, read with understanding. Even if you don't have homework, they still need to study because a lot of that stuff that builds upon each other. And if you miss something in this section, you don't know that vocabulary, you're gonna need to use that in the next section. So a lot of times people struggle because they don't study. They're gonna have to study in order to solve the proofs and theorems and geometry. And then the grading scale. So it's different from middle school. Like I said before, they're gonna have a final exam that's worth 20% of their final grade. Classwork and homework is worth 20%. Minor assessments are worth 30%, and the test and major assessments are worth 50%. Please keep that in mind, 50%. So test and major assignments is worth 50% of your final grade. So I plan to give them at least 3 tests per quarter because I want it, not per quarter, but per quarter, because I want to keep it balanced. Giving them 1 test and then they feel that or do poorly on it, then it's gonna cause them to, do that. And then keep in mind that the state changed the policy where we have a grade floor ceiling. They're gonna have to actually, do their best each time because it's not, no wiggle room, especially when you're talking about GPA. Someone to say retake policy, I am going to allow them a retake policy, but they're gonna have to ask, and they're gonna have to ask within that 5 days of failing. This is a high school course, so I'm treating them like high school students. They're gonna have to request, and then we're gonna review before they retake the test or quiz. Major grades are tests and projects. Minor grades include quizzes, vocabulary, classwork, formative assessments, journal entries. Our first quiz will be next week. I was gonna do it Friday, but I won't be here Friday, so I'll wait until next Wednesday. So that it'll give them time to study and, get used to what we're gonna do. And I think that's about it. Homework, we're not gonna have homework every day. Most of the time, the homework will be classwork that they didn't finish in class. But I do suggest that they study every night. They can go on Math Nation, on the website Math Nation, and then we're also going to be using a high school book. So I'll have them set up on that as well. Anybody have any questions?
Will the 5-day retake policy be from the day of the test or from the day it's graded?
The day is graded when they get their grade. Once they get their grade, they have 5 days to request a retake. Go ahead.
Is there a certain grade that they have to be under before they can retake?
It should be 9, failing.
So anything on, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, if you fail, then, yeah, you can retake it, but,
So only for failing grade,
Yeah.
not if I just want
No.
to bump my grade up.
because once you go to high school, they don't allow you to
Gotcha.
do that. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, well, y'all can always email me if y'all have any other questions, that's it.
Let's, just to clarify, some people do that, but for honors, we're not going to do that. So they need to pass. Also, if a student is in the honors level course and it's not going as you thought it would go, right? And we get to the point where it's like, you know what, we're at like a 70, this is not gonna be good for the high school transcript, I want them out. Let's talk about that. If the student comes out at that time, because this district is cracking down on that, and we have to move them into the 8th grade level math or 8th grade level English, they will have to take those grades with them to the course that they go to, and they will get a WP on their transcript. That means withdraw passing. A WP does not hurt the GPA, but it does show that your student had at one point been enrolled in that course. We used to be in the habit of, since it was 8th grade and we moved them, we didn't worry about the WP, they said no more. So if they were in that course for 6 days and decide they want to come out, we have to put the WP in. If your student is not passing and come out of the course, and that's for any high school credit course, so fundamentals of computing, not passing, they want to come out of it, they will get a WF. WF is withdrawal failing. It means that you were failing at the time of withdrawal, and it counts as a F on the GPA. That's just like getting a 50. Everybody clear on that? I don't have a way around it. I can't act like it didn't happen. I have to put it in.
I know it's in high school, they only have like 5 days to come out without consequences. Is that the same for here too?
Yes. After that 5-day mark, we have to put a withdrawal code. So it's literally just going to depend on if they were passing or failing at the time they came out. I mean, technically for us, we have 10 days because we're year long. So that makes it a little bit better.
So you mean 5 days from the start of the class?
Yeah. Well, really for us, it's 10 days.
If they don't have a quiz, it's been more than 5 days since the start of that class. They don't have a grade yet.
It's
So
10 days here.
So really what they're supposed to do, just like college, they have to go through the syllabus and say, is this gonna be too much for me? Is it not? And at that time, they would need to say, okay, I'm gonna need to go ahead, I can't do this. Or if they make the decision to go ahead and try it and keep going, I do not have a choice. I have to put a withdrawal code, and that's just because it's a high school level course. And like I said, we used to think if this 8th grade, but, and I will say this, if your student takes a high school credit bearing course, doesn't do so hot, you want them to retake the course, 9th grade year only. It can replace the impact on the GPA. It does not remove it off of the transcript, but it stops it from hurting your grade point average. Any questions about that? Hopefully we won't even encounter those things, but I just want to make sure everybody's aware, of what it means. Especially with, say for instance, a geometry having a final exam that's 20%. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes a student may be doing fine, going to that exam and are off, and it can really impact the grade. And they may decide, I need to retake this in 9th grade. I just want you to know what that means. It'll still show, but it'll stop from hurting the GPA.
Well, tomorrow's the 10th day, right? Am I doing my math right?
Yeah.
Because how do we even know? Because they haven't, tomorrow's the day you have to make the decision to move them. That syllabus is on the classes.
You said what?
Never mind.
That is always a point of contention because you really haven't gotten deep into the course. That's even for AP level courses. You really don't know until you get into the thick of it whether or not you can do it or not. Because it usually starts out easy and then builds up to get hard. You really just have to make that determination.
But they can still be withdrawn passing after the 10th.
Yes, they can still be withdrawn passing.
It
just has to have
that
the
doesn't
code.
hurt their GPA. It's just if you want it not to be on their transcript at all.
No, it'll show.
No, I'm saying right now, during the first 10 days is when it doesn't show.
Right.
So for it not to show at all, you would have to withdraw by tomorrow. But if 2 or 3 or 4 weeks from now, they're passing, but you're thinking, okay, maybe it's not going to work out this year, they could still withdraw passing and not hurt their GPA.
Correct.
I think I remember right, but I just wanted to confirm for geometry and English, none of those are EOC, right?
No, that's a district, final exam.
I was just making sure those two weren't EOC.
No.
Okay.
Any other questions like that? So those are not state EOC grades. I will say this, in my experience, being in high school, the WP, now if you were going to apply, I believe, then they may actually call and say why. Why did you feel the need to come out of that course back in 9th grade, what was going on? And they may actually ask you for an explanation. For most of your public institutions, that it means, if it was a WP, it's not going to impact. So, probably it's a WF. And if it's a WF, I highly encourage you to ride it out until you get it up to a 60, then we come out of it. And yes, I said that on camera. But I don't encourage anybody to come out while it's that low. Because it's hard to come back from that. Any other questions? I think Ms. Fuller, you had something like that.
Yeah. Earlier I didn't address this, but I do give the kids notes every day or every subject that we go over. They get notes to study and my tests come from the notes. So I would encourage them to study the notes. You'll be able to pass the test. We do projects in class, that require them to work with teams. They're not always able to pick the team that they want. Sometimes I choose teams, and I do that because when you're in the work environment, you have to work with everyone. So I want them to get in the habit of being able to work with people that they don't choose to work with. Also, if your student misses a day of class, I encourage you to ask them to come to me the next day when they get back and ask for their work, because I have over 100 students. So I may not remember that your child was absent. So I need them to come to me and ask me for their work. And from the day that they return to campus, they have 7 days to complete their work. And then after those 7 days, I do have the right to do a 5-point deduction each school day that they're late from that point. But they have 7 days after they return to turn their work in. And also in my class, we have the retake policy as well. So in the event of a failing grade, the student will have an opportunity to retake the assignment twice. She said hers was 5 days. I did mine before the end of the quarter. They have a chance to take that assignment twice before the end of the quarter. And I think that was all. Oh, if you need to contact me, you can contact me by email, or you can call here at the school. I'll try to get back with you within 24 hours. If it's on a holiday or the weekend, I'll respond back on the next school day.
Just so I don't waste your time.